esports afternoon, which is like, 5 p.m. to like 11 or so, and then esports evening is really like midnight to 4.
Oh, it's true. I mean, considering like how late NA teams scrim usually too, it all gets thrown out of whack.
That's right. I don't know what esports you've been in, but most R6 players are not up at 5 a.m. for an esports morning. True. We're talking noon at the earliest.
We're talking scrims at 7 p.m. every day.
Well, it's never too early in the morning to check out some stats, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Let's see it. We've got some attack defense stats to look at going into our first series, which, of course, as we mentioned, is going to be Spacestation Gaming versus TSM. Here we go. There's Spacestation.
Everybody likes to talk about SSG and TSM being the top teams in NA, and that's not always been true, but certainly historically it's been true a lot of the time. We can see Spacestation's team stats now, and what we've seen from Spacestation throughout the stage going forward is their defensive win rate has been incredible. Jacob, be mature. 69% defensive win rate, there it is one of the top stats that we have in the entire league. It's a ridiculous stat line to have. The average right now is sitting at a clean 50%, and you contrast that with a different team, their opponents today, TSM. Their attacking win rate, also one that could be super strong, 60%, very, very high. I believe that is the highest in the league at the moment. So what we're seeing right now, the contrast between TSM being a super strong attacking team, SG being a super strong defending team, when they're on their respective halves, we're going to see, regardless of the map, some of the best, highest quality gameplay that the NAL can offer.
So it means that whatever map we go to for this game will matter a lot, because if Spacestation are a really good defensive team, but they go to a defensive-sided map, maybe TSM actually are going to have the advantage, because when they switch to defense and it's kind of the same story, we might actually see TSM walk away with their second win of the stage. We might. Yeah. That's simply based on knowing which team has their own preferred half right now.
Well, it's interesting because when you look at this matchup, like you could say, oh, it's a battle of the SI champions, right? But I mean, that was 2 years ago for Spacestation now.
Yeah.
And TSM has had a little bit of a slow start. So I feel like that kind of like hype narrative doesn't really have the same sort of like hit that it would have maybe before the stage began, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's nice that we have this many like former or current SI hammer lifters all in the same lobby at the same time. Because in North America, that's just never happened. Like in Europe, you could you could say that a little bit more. You can't say that about like, what, Brazil's only won one SI thus far, but we've got a lot of like fantastic pedigree in this lobby. In spite of TSM only just having won the 6 Invitational, they've still played in the league for a really long time and ground together as a team, as a core, what Merc achieved and Bolo for over 2 years to get to that point. So this is a really good game regardless.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's check out Spacestation Gaming, the first team we're going to zero in on going into this one. And, we talked about it yesterday, too. A very cerebral team, a very methodical team, a team that's 2-1 in the North American League at the moment. So good, but still one of those teams where towards the end of the stage, we're not 100% sure if they're going to end up top 4, bottom 4. Feels like top 4 at the moment, but, we'll see.
SSG had a really strong first week. They came out, they were dominant against 2 teams. Now, both of those were on bank, and I don't feel we've answered the question yet, are Spacestation Gaming a really good team, or are Spacestation Gaming a really good bank team? And that little adjective in there is going to mean a lot for the rest of their stage, because you get 4 bans in the NAL now. You're probably banning bank against Spacestation Gaming. That said, yesterday they were able to go up against Astralis, and they weren't really finding that same success. I didn't think they looked bad on border, but I felt like Astralis came with so many cool strategies, so many cool unique stuff that Spacestation was just getting caught off guard time and time again. They weren't able to adapt fast enough, and it felt like they were getting run over a little bit by the Astralis boys. That said, I'm not super worried about it. I feel like they can bounce back. That was still a close game, but of course, time will tell.
I think it's weird where, like you mentioned, having 2 straight games on bank kind of meant we didn't have a perfect picture over 3 games about knowing where they were supposed to be. But right now, all I have to look at is that border game where it felt like they simply could not get into the building. Astralis kind of had their number, read their entries perfectly, had an understanding of how they were going to get in, and essentially just said, nah, let's just not allow it to get to that point. And even when they did, sometimes plant coverage felt like it was out of whack. There were moments where sometimes SSG just kind of like tried to resort to LMG spray cover, and it wasn't adequate enough to keep everything locked down. Spacestation had a decent idea about how to take a map like border, but I feel like they still probably need to rely on more comfortable ones they've played thus far. Try to not go to a new map, maybe right now against a team like TSM. Play into your strengths or your own weaknesses on a map that's already established.
One thing we saw Spacestation do really well in that first week was utilize that attacker repick to pull in some really neat ops. Like
they use
Nook,
a lot, yeah.
They used Amaru, they used some really cool strategies, and it was working super well, but when they came up against Astralis, it seemed like they were very ready for it. Houghton would like 6-pick over to the Nook, sneak into the building, and then somebody would always be watching for it, right? They were constantly able to catch that out. So if Astralis have done some water view, maybe they're ready for that. I'm hoping TSM have done the same.
Yeah, well, you can see them warming up in a way. Back over in Vegas, and you know, there's different types of warming up, right? There's the getting your peripherals going, there's doing a little bit of aim lab testing, and then there's also palling around your teammates, talking about the series, eating some food. You gotta, you know, there's a trick to it, right? And this goes for being, you know, on our side of things as well as it does on the player side of things. You gotta eat a little bit, but not too much, right? You have to find the perfect balance.
Yeah. And having a powwow with Lycan and Luke about this stuff, I think, is a good option. Also, one loss is not the be-all, end-all for this SSG team. They've got a very deep strat book. They understand what they want to do map to map. So it's nice that, especially like somebody like Luke, being able to still kind of offer that insight as somebody who played for this team at one point, at this point last year. So he's got an idea about how everyone on this team is meant to mesh together. And if for some reason they notice something is wrong, they should be able to kind of put the brakes on whatever is stopping the mood in its tracks and put it back in the right direction.
You would imagine, yeah. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map are going to be TSM, the team that just came off of winning SI. They are 1-2 so far in the NAL, a spot that none of us really would have expected them to be at. Some very kind of perplexing losses here. So let's get into that. Like, what's going on with TSM to cause them to be able, or cause them to kind of be in the spot?
I've got a theory.
Okay.
Don't play theme park. So far,
also true.
That is not that that's the exact reason, but look at the trend. If they play theme park, they lose. If they play any of the other 8 maps, they're fine. But I feel like part of it, we're going to harp on it a little bit, does come down to Bolo and defensive positioning, but it's mostly just the way that they do that as a whole. If it's on defense, sometimes they're caught in a weird moment. It feels like they're not necessarily prepared for multiple angles of approach. And on attack, at least yesterday against Mirage, it felt like their intel game, it wasn't useless, but it just wasn't there. Sometimes players would have individual performances, but then Razor would be an undroned menace. He'd get a 2K out of nowhere and stop an attack dead in its tracks. Sometimes, if it was drone intel or not using Yana effectively, or they didn't understand what they were going into on theme park. So it's like new stage, new map, cool, but why do you feel this unprepared for it?
And I want to address a theory about, you know, people have been talking about what's wrong with TSM. During Invite Achieved, he had a lot of hair. Then he did shave it all off, and people have been worried that maybe that's contributed to TSM's success. But I want to say, I think Achieved has still been playing a really solid game. He's still been able to get some of those entries. He's still been able to hold things down on defense. It's really been more of the aggressive players on this roster, such as Bolo, such as Merc, that have not really had that same impact that we saw from them all the way back at Invite. And I do feel that if TSM are going to take off, if we're going to see them starting to win more rounds, we have to see a better roam presence from Bolo, because on defense, throughout 3 games so far, he has found 2 total kills.
Yikes.
And those have been long games. He's had plenty of opportunities. It feels like at the start, he was just losing a bunch of those opening engagements, and then TSM kind of reined him in, moved him back to a little bit more of a passive position, and because of that, he hasn't really had the opportunity to get as many kills when roaming on the defense. So that's something that maybe he can get some confidence back, maybe he can hit the aim labs, get a little bit back in shape, and they can put it back to the front lines, but we'll see.
Well, do you think it's that? Do you think it's a matter of aiming, or do you think it's a matter of maybe the team needs to put him in a position to succeed like he used to?
I think it's partly a positioning issue for sure. I think if he was able to maybe play around with some of his other teammates, it feels like oftentimes TSM go for setups that involve a large amount of map control, and that means that your players have to be kind of spread out.
It feels like he's real solo, yeah.
It does, and if maybe you were able to work in some other teammates, if Geo can be up there with him, if Achieve can be there with him, if Merc can be there, trade some things out. Even if he does die, you can get that trade in, and hopefully things can work out better for them. Because on attack, that entry stat is really good. They got a 60% overall attacking win rate, and their entry stat is 10-5, only looking at attack. You switch to defense, they're one of the worst in the league. So this is really where the struggles are, and they need to fix that.
I'm going to hope that Gotcha is only taking Geo's seat because he's in the bathroom or something right now. I'm looking at that.
Sure.
I haven't seen anything to suggest that for some reason Geo's not playing, but hopefully he is, because that would be a big problem. I mean, the only real reason why we're seeing TSM find success is they have very objective focused attacks. They'll go in, find the initial injured, and spend the rest of the round doing what they can to get that diffuser down, and he's got one of the highest plant stats right now in the NAL, right behind Marmalade after that performance against TSM from yesterday. So yeah, I still think it matters a lot.
And looking at Gotcha and CL last year, we don't need him back as a player.
Not
coaching is a good spot for him.
Well, let's see what the map is going to be. It's time. It's time to find out where we're going to play this series between Spacestation Gaming.
Remember,
and TSM. Let's find out.
We might not want a defensive-sided map unless you're a TSM fan. So let's see.
Already a couple banned out, right? Cafe and Clubhouse. Those are two pretty defender-sided maps going out of the way immediately. Cafe, one being banned out by Spacestation, I think makes a lot of sense. That's one that TSM have historically been amazing at, and Spacestation really dropped the ball. Good. Thank you, TSM, for taking out the theme park. That's not something I wanted to see.
I think, again, there's still plenty of defender bastions in the mix right now. I feel like we're still seeing Oregon, which was a huge problem. I mean, it was a problem for Sonics doing anything on defense yesterday, but that's a much different story. No bank, no border, so TSM not willing to try to use any of Astralis' success on that map, but instead, we do still have Oregon left. It's between Oregon and Skyscraper, and neither of these teams have been able to win a new map yet, so it's either chance something and go with pure gamble so far, or stick with Oregon. And if we go to either, that still leans in TSM's favor because SSG's defense and TSM's attacks mean a good defensive map is already going to swing in TSM's advantage, and we're headed to Oregon. So if you are an SSG fan, be a little bit concerned. And if you're a TSM fan, your chances just went up here.
Yeah, I think that this is the right choice from TSM. Oregon's been a map they have had their struggles with, but I think it was all right for them at SI. It was the only map they lost during the grand finals against Empire, but they still had an even 2-2 record throughout SI. For Spacestation on Oregon, though, despite it being a really good map for them way back in Stage 3, they were pretty hesitant to play it at the 6th Invitational. They had one play against Liquid. They lost 7-3.
Yeesh.
So, I mean, that's a lack of confidence.
Domestic play, that's still great. I mean, back in Stage 3 or since Stage 3, 3-1 record, usually like what? That's 62% win rate on attack over those games, which is already phenomenal for a map that we understand has this much of a lean. But again, we already know what their preferred sides are just historically through these first 3 games. And I am, like, there's cause for concern, again, if you're somebody who's rooting for SSG in this contest.
I mean, only time will tell, right? It does feel like this week Oregon has been very popular. I think this is the 3rd time we've seen it between yesterday and today.
I think so, yeah. When it wasn't played at all in week 1.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's interesting because week 1 I felt like we saw a lot of Chalet and a lot of Bank. And now we're kind of seeing this shift. You know, and tell me a little bit about that too, because as teams sort of like spend more time stratting out some of these maps, are we going to see shifts? Is this more a response to the opponents? Like, what do you think this comes from?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Oregon is a map that has always kind of been dominated by this defensive heavy strategy where you can just sit in the basement, you can anchor, and it's very hard for people to get back down into you. Even the Dorn's bomb site at the very top has always kind of been defined that way. But I think with attacker repick coming through and with teams just getting better at attacking Oregon, it's been in the pool for a while now, we're seeing that shift more and more towards the attacker sides. When we saw it yesterday, XSEC got a 6-0 half against the Sonics on attack. So we're really seeing these maps start to change up a little bit, and I do feel that as we continue to see the map pool expand, go from 7 maps up to 9, get new maps into the pool, we're going to see these changes continue on to grow, because I still feel like Oregon is one of those maps that is kind of new, despite now being in for, what, 2 years almost?
I mean, we're getting a new approach on it with repick. You can say that about everyone, but just understanding how insane it was to try to win Oregon attacks. I feel like that's just something we'll have to expect going forward.
That's right. Well, it's time. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to have our predictions for our first series between Spacestation Gaming and TSM. And first, of course, we want to find out what the casters have to say. And over on the desk right now, we have Pengu and a college philosophy professor, otherwise known as Taro, I think.
Looking good.
Sure. Yeah, got that turtleneck going on.
I'm here to give the keynote address for Rainbow Six today.
So what's the keynote say about the predictions?
The predictions say that I am just going to throw anything I want at the wall. It doesn't really matter. My only mission today is to beat the damn coin, and so far that's proved to be very difficult. So
since the coin hasn't voted yet, Parker, you gotta make the first move here, if you will. And before you make the first move, I might just make mine because I think I know exactly where I want to go with this, right?
Okay.
TSM is looking a bit whack, and SSG are looking less whack than TSM, therefore SSGW.
I feel like TSM will win this because I have to vote the opposite of you, but also some of the poor performances of these players cannot continue forever. I know I don't spend 21 of the 24 hours in a day compiling stats like Jesse does, so I'm just going to go with my gut on this one. And Jesse spends all that time and he still gets beat by a damn coin anyway, so.
All right, so
21's a little excessive, okay?
He sleeps 2 hours a night.
I slept 6 hours last night.
Yeah,
I had a great sleep.
Got more than me.
His hair looks so good.
Not bad, not bad. Well, we have predictions based on whack potentiality, I guess, is the official phrase for that.
Yep.
I'm not going to dive into that.
God, I wish I was getting paid for that. Are you kidding me?
It's a new quantifiable stuff.
You know,
But you guys were going in this morning on certain players and certain teams. I saw all the tweets being put up and the videos you guys are rolling about Sonics.
No, for sure.
You guys are liking it up
Hey,
there.
it's not just restricted to current players. We go in on some talent as well. Pengu, I saw you wolfing down that toast.
We go in on some retirees. I remember you're sitting on the desk because of Memevite. Don't lie.
Okay.
Wow. All right. Well, before this results in any sort of slapping, we've seen enough of that lately. Let's go to our analysts, see what they have to say. Jacob, what do you got?
So, as much as I don't want to say it's because of the whack factor, we are looking at a current trend of SSG doing fantastic, and I think the defensive issues that we're seeing from TSM are enough for a team like SSG to really pick apart. We're heading to Oregon. That tendency exists a lot. I'm trying. What side are we starting on for each one? Looks
Good
like.
question.
All right, so SSG starting on defense. So that's going to be, well, like probably where SSG, if they can get out to a very early lead, probably something even like a 4-2, then TSM kind of have to like reverse course and really go into the fray on it. I think there's a very good chance TSM could still walk away with this thing, but I'm going SSG simply because of current trends.
All right, SSG for Jacob. Jesse.
Yeah, I feel like Oregon is just a map that, like, while we think of it as a defensive bastion, the way that it's been moving more towards the attackers really does have me worried for TSM, because we know they're weak on defense, and we know teams are starting to figure out Oregon defenses. You put those combined, I just don't have any confidence that TSM's setups in that second half are really going to hold up to the stress test of SSG, who are pushing machines. So I'll go Space Station as well in this matchup.
All right. So, I mean, 3 votes for Space Station, 1 for TSM. We've gotten to the point that the SI champs are getting almost universally overruled.
I hate to do it. If this is correct, it means TSM goes down 1-3, and I don't like that on paper. But
well, we'll have to see what the coin says. It's time to find out. It's going to be Space Station Gaming on heads. There you go, heads. And tails will be TSM. Remember, again, we just go right to left. Heads is always left. Tails is always right for the graphic. And we got... Oh, it says tails.
T for TSM.
You got to be kidding me.
Predicts TSM. You know, I don't know.
Parker, your mission was to beat the coin. That's not good for you.
The coin was very good on upsets, but really, I think whoever wins this, I don't know if you can't call it an upset. These are just 2 teams that have, you know, I think a lot of skill, and whoever's going to win is going to win. No upsets in this one, in my opinion.
I say this every time. It's an good old Jim Ross reference. This will be a slobber knocker.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So, if you agree or disagree or whatever you want to say, we've got a poll as well for you to consider. Let's check that out. It's going to be who's more worthy of the hammer, Space Station or TSM?
Oh, come on.
Interesting. Interesting. I mean, lately, obviously, SI, they're the ones who, you know, TSM are the ones who lifted it. It's been a couple of years for Space Station. But right now, today, you have to wait for the end, I think.
I don't...
Deserve is a dirty word. That's a tough question to answer.
Nothing in esports is deserved ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a weird one for sure.
I mean, we'll see. We'll find out, I guess.
All right, that's right. Well, we're going to send it to a quick break. While we do, you're going to be able to enjoy a little bit of walking down memory lane with some of the exploits of the former Space Station Gaming roster. And then we get started with day 2 of the Rainbow Six NAL. It's going to be Space Station Gaming taking on TSM in just a few. Don't miss it. We'll be right back.
At SI, I would say our biggest downfall was strictly ourselves. It's hard to like pinpoint what went wrong specifically, but as a team overall, I would say that we weren't on the same page.
We just weren't used to playing against international teams.
Mexico, Sweden Major.
SSG doesn't have an answer for this.
We're having these same issues at events where we're not bringing the stuff that we do in scrims to matches.
Honestly, like I played really bad, and Rampy like picked up a lot of my slack. Like Rampy had an incredible series.
My performance individually, I am very, very proud of. Unfortunately, us as a team, we were falling short. That's just how it goes, you know, when you're playing at SI at the World Championship, you got to be as close to perfect as possible, and we just weren't.
You have to be thinking on your feet very quickly, and I just think we're not responding fast enough.
All of us believe we should have done better and gone further than we did. You know, we've made some changes that we think will bring out the best in us for this upcoming year.
We have a very good plan in set, roles changed for the better.
I think it's going to work out really well for us. Bosco in the game, even without being vocal about it, he's just a natural leader, I think. He leads by example.
Bosco yelling, he's been doing a pretty good job. Obviously, over time, it'll just get better and better.
Bosco handles pressure pretty well. I mean, he's one of the best clutchers on the planet.
An underrated reaction from Bosco's move is putting Alex to the flank watch.
My job is to make sure no one gets shot in the back.
Bosco's a good flank watch, but Guys is a more aggressive player. When he needs to get in and do stuff, like, he will. And it's added a little more flexibility, especially with the new attacker repick.
Just the overall synergy flows better. This change that we just recently made will help us reach our full potential.
We're still going to be aggressive and playing in people's faces, but it's going to be more synced and more together.
We didn't make a roster change because we know the potential that we have. We have 5 of the best players in the world. The biggest thing is just making sure it works and everyone's in the right positions to make it blow up. We want to start off, obviously, as strong as we can this first stage. We have the potential, I believe, to be a World Championship team consistently, but the thing is that we just have to find it and keep it there.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our very first matchup. And it could indeed be a slobber knocker, or a slobber or a knocker, just one of the two on its own. As Jacob said, the defending world champions of TSM against the 2020 world champions of Spacestation. This is a world champion as well. Nicholas, Pengu, I'm Antero. Welcome aboard, and we're ready in just a couple minutes to get underway.
You didn't say the thing. You just said, well, it doesn't matter. It won't be a snoozer fest, that's for sure, right? Because we got some phenomenal. Thank you. The back-to-back, 2-time, yeah. Gonna be an amazing series, I think. I do think that we get a snoozer map, so to speak, in Oregon, where we did not see this in the first 2 playdays of the NAL Stage 1 of 2022 at all whatsoever. We saw some theme parks and borders, some new map shenanigans, a lot of bank. And now we're seeing teams kind of go back to those quote-unquote default situations where we tried the new stuff, we weren't that comfortable necessarily, and especially for a team like TSM that did not find any success on neither of the 2 times they played Theme Park, I think it makes a lot of sense to go back to the default maps, the ones that they're very familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. TSM have a lot to work on, and we saw that yesterday, we saw that last week in their 2 playdays as well, that this is a team that has had some significant struggles, and they've been struggles against weaker opposition too. I think that's the one thing to highlight for TSM. Now Space Station have an opportunity to bounce back after yesterday's disappointing result for them and their squad, and I say disappointing from their perspective. For us, it was quite an entertaining matchup.
Yeah, and it's true, and that's the thing, right? We can talk about, was the game good, was the game not good? Well, for one team, the game will always be good, but more importantly, was it an entertaining match in general, regardless of the result? And I do agree that the Astralis SSG game that we had yesterday on Border was one of those games where everyone kind of came out victorious because it was a good game overall. But of course, if you're SSG, it ruined your quote-unquote flawless streak so far. And now we just see OXG at 9 points at the very top. What SSG thinking we could have joined them up there, but instead we're just shy.
Yeah, both of these teams obviously the wrong side of an upset. For those of you that didn't watch yesterday's matchups, it was the first match of the day that started the ball rolling with a day of upsets in terms of the standings. TSM getting humbled by Mirage as Mirage picked up their very first victory of the season. Then it was Astralis' turn to knock out the Space Station squad in our second match of the day. Then, of course, Xset toppled the Sonics, and Parabellum toppled DZ in what was really just an upending of the standings that we usually have. Now today, these are teams that, despite their place in the standings, are far closer in terms of pedigree and in terms of their historical abilities, but TSM have not looked like themselves so far through these 3 play days. A loss against Space Station here, I don't really think would be a huge indictment on TSM's abilities because of the fact that SSG have been so good traditionally in North America.
It's true, but the one angle that we have to mention is that if TSM gets, a loss in regulation, so before OT, they're looking really bad in the standings, only having 1 victory, that is, against Xset on Chalet, with a 4-7 loss on Theme Park to OXG, and a 5-7 loss on Theme Park to Mirage. So while losing to SSG in a vacuum isn't all that bad, well, your overall standings in terms of points are really suffering, so it would be a great time for TSM to show up to get those 3 points and also just keep SSG in their place. And of course, as that question came up, who's worthy of the hammer, right? We speak about TSM, they're the current reigning world champions. They haven't looked like it just yet, right, inside the NAL. So for TSM, if you're a fan, if you're a coach, if you're a player, etc., you want to see them show up and show that they indeed did win the hammer just a few months ago.
Absolutely. Talking about the standings, by the way, entering this matchup, Space Station in second place, 19 rounds won, 12 rounds lost, sitting at a 6-point position, which is tied with Parabellum and Astralis right now. Rounding out the top 4 is Oxygen in first place. TSM are just a single win behind, so obviously with it being only a couple, well, now the 4th play day into this stage, there's still tons of points left on the table, right? Nobody's been knocked out. The only team that doesn't have a single point at this moment is the Sonics, which is a little bit peculiar because they are the defending NA League champions. But guess what? First place in OXG is 3 wins away.
Yeah.
A win or 2 for the Sonics. A victory today with other teams not losing or other teams not winning would vault the Sonics up to 7th place. TSM right now are that team in 7th place. A win today, guess what? They're tied with Space Station.
Yeah.
So there's tons of volatility in these standings, and depending on what we see today, we'll get a better idea of which team will make it to the major. But if TSM lose here, like I said, I don't really think it really speaks to their ability because there are still plenty of games left, and SSG is no slouch.
That's the thing, and I mean, this can go 2 ways because TSM, there is actually a chance where we'll see them basically in last place. If both Xset, Mirage, and the Sonics all came out victorious, then TSM are basically, in that bottom element, tied with Sonics at the very least, but that's not, again, an achievement that's really worth noting. So, and I believe that the way the matchups works, I don't recall all 5 exact matchups, but I actually think that these are singled out opponents where, yes, Xset and Mirage, they have individual opponents, so this could actually be a situation that can occur.
Of course. We're just moments away from getting the game going. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in to what we have to say. The remaining matchups today, by the way, are Parabellum versus Xset. You and I will be casting that one next up. I think that one will be thrilling. Xset will be very high off their 7-0 victory over the Sonics yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Parabellum squeezing out a victory over Dark Zero yesterday as well. Then it's DZ versus Astralis, Sonics versus Beast Coast, and OXG versus Mirage, that last match. Yeah. Well, I mean, if OXG plays the way that they've been playing so far, then uh-oh, Mirage.
Yeah, that's true, and this indeed does confirm the situation that if Xset beats Parabellum, and then, we see Sonics beat out Beast Coast, and Mirage somehow beats OXG, we do see TSM tied last with Sonics. It is possible, it's just highly unlikely, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of numbers that we can talk about.
The numbers.
But let's not waste your time. Let's get things underway. Oregon is ready, and we will launch ourselves into this cult-like home somewhere in the Oregon wilderness as TSM versus SSG is up on the docket.
Do you say?
Okay. Cover your eyes.
Oh, boy.
Cover your eyes. That is not true. Operator bans. Yesterday, we were a little bit less than impressed about the defender bans. Nick,
Yeah.
it's a Maverick off the board for the attackers. Valkyrie and Mira led the way yesterday. There's a Ying ban. That is unsurprising. Ying is a very strong component of SSG's attacks on this map. She will not be in play. First defender ban. Are we going to fall asleep again?
Oh, keep us awake at the wheel here. And when Lucy banned to start things, sounds the target bans are coming through, and we actually saw OXG play that go to great effect when they played Oregon yesterday, and we'll see if it will stay open this time around, and it will. It will be the Kaid ban despite the Thatcher being opened up, which might just be SSG saying we don't want to have to play the Thatcher at all. We can get more grenades, get more utility, and just ban out the Kaid and even out that ground. And with the Maverick being banned, you know, you are going to be down 2 grenades that normally you would be having. So I think this is one of those explosive utility shenanigans that SSG are considering.
These teams have finally worked out their Skinergy, by the way, as we had discussed in the past. SSG didn't have everybody on the same page. Skies had a couple of those rounds where he was not running the SSG skin. It's a downstairs defense to start things off for Space Station Laundry Supply. This is one of the 2 bomb sites that we tend to see played extremely frequently. The other will be the Dorms bomb site upstairs, leaving that tertiary site should teams need it. Oregon does tend to help the defenders quite a lot, but attacker repick has upended the meta and allowed attackers advantages on certain bomb sites that they didn't have before.
Yeah, and we saw in that introduction video from SSG, Bosco and Rambi talking a lot about how they've made some role changes with the team, getting Bosco on that support, on the IGL, allowing Skies to be on that flank watch position and therefore be more flexible and aggressive on their attacking side. And on the defensive side as well, it's Bosco on the smoke, it's Skies on that flex-ish operator too, trying to lean less off of Hot and Cold's back, where he's been doing most of that flexibility work in the past for SSG. Now allowing the full roster to come to its potential that is arguably a lot higher, but again, it's early days, we're still working on that. Rambi getting aggressive early on, denying that first drone. We see this from teams on Oregon where you cannot just hide in the basement, right? You gotta get active, you gotta slow down the attackers and just keep them guessing, deny information. And Rambi single-handedly so far has killed half the drones of TSM and almost bought a full minute.
The drone hunter, and they don't even need a Mozzie to do that. I do like the Thorn pick as well, the newest operator that has become available for these teams to use, and there are still 2 Razor Blooms in the pockets of Skies. If you don't know what the Irish operator does, well, she tosses down 3 Razor Blooms that then set, and if you walk in range of them, they just blow up. And it
like
takes
a timed claymore almost.
It is almost. It's proximity based, and when it blows up, it does a significant amount of damage if you are very, very close, enough to kill, in fact.
Yep. And I think Skies keeping those 2 of those 3 in the pocket is just one of those, we want to wait to see where TSM will be attacking from and then put those down accordingly, instead of just throwing out all 3 and then 2 of them won't do anything in the round, right? And the second one just got tossed down now from Skies. Then we've seen the situation from the side of TSM. So we have backside take, or frontal should I say, from Freezer and Laundry Stairs. Bolo walks on down and gets in. Unfortunate beginning to this first on Oregon. I couldn't even fight back against the shotgun.
SSG with the very first pick.
And that's Bosco for you. Bosco believes in the shotgun so much, it's always lethal.
The thing with Bolo is that his defensive stats are not great. His attacking stats are usually quite good, and we see that time and time again. If Bolo does not have a good attacking half, that obviously is going to be very bad for TSM.
Could be a bit concerning indeed. And we see Chala with the Thatcher being brought despite the Kite being banned off the board. And we see the Hibana from Geo opening up all the hatches, clearing out Pillar. Flashbang is coming through, but there's currently not really many grenades to follow on. It's Merc dropping the hatch and pushing inside, but the Razor Bloom gives away the position.
Skies capitalize off of that one. Nick and gets the kill. Rampy swung on by Achieved on those back tower stairs. Sky still in this position inside of blue. 1 player from TSM breaks open the Surya gate. Another for Achieved. A nice play by Skies. He pops up and Chala goes down. In hand, a flashbang. ready, waiting for Geo as he's now on top of that pill hatch, or E-box as it's called. Both players from TSM are inside of meeting right now. Waiting out, nope, but Achieved actually has made it down the stairs, and he'll hunt towards blue. That'll be Skies to contest, and Skies wins it. A triple kill for Skies, leaving Geo inside of the bomb site, but nobody with 3 seconds left from SSG wants to take the engagement. Fultz decides to, and it's a big 4K from Skies as round number 1 goes to Space Station.
And now, picture that round with 2 more grenades from the side of TSM, with Bolo being alive on the finger, with the adrenal surges, with the LMG, with the Gun 6 as well. This round could have looked a lot differently, but that individual play earlier on where Bolo walks down the freezer stairs and meets Bosco without any drones, no flashbangs, no support, no trade, leaves TSM in the dust. It's not only 4 versus 5, but you lose a lot of that utility that normally you would have, but you don't. And that's because that SSG banned out the Maverick, which means you're going to be having less grenades than typically you normally would. If Chala had been on the Maverick, for example, instead of Thatcher, which normally is the case, it doesn't play that big of a factor. But because of these operator bans, because that the Thatcher was open, because Chala was playing it, it actually plays out slightly differently for TSM.
Talked about this upstairs bomb site, by the way, and double dorms is where these two teams will tussle. It's an SSG defense, of course, and while things look somewhat similar previously, they got the denial on the Aruni. When Malusi got banned out, there was typing done in the chat. I don't know if you saw it.
I did not
said that it was a target ban towards Matt. Matt, of course, is Matthew Stevens, a.k.a. Mr. Hot and Cold. So if he only plays Malusi on defense on Oregon, or more often than not, that pushes him into another position where he's going to play this Aruni, and Aruni's a great operator. For denial, you have that Aruni as well as the Wamai to eat up your projectiles. That is so good, especially when you look at the lineup that's being brought in terms of secondary gadgets from TSM. 4 grenades, 9 flashbangs.
Yeah, tons of flashbangs can clear utility, and we also see the, hot and cold, not just on the Rune as you mentioned, but with that DMR with the 1.5x score. Right? It's become very, very popular after APAC introduced us to it at Invitationals. Then EU and North America started playing it way more, and now we see it in play almost every single day. Fultz, of course, from SSG brought out the Goyo, those canisters that he has with the fire. He has 4 of those, each lasting 20 seconds once popped open, and that just helps your defensive side if the attackers tend to be slow on the timer. And right now, TSM spent the first minute of the round, and they've just made their way to the master bedroom balcony, which is right where you normally spawn. So it might be one of those rounds where, yes, the time does run down, but this Tertiary drone somehow gets past Hot and Cold.
That's not ideal. He doesn't manage to shoot it. He loses some of the protection inside a trophy. And using the passive of Aruni creates a sight line on those armory stairs where he can watch the doorway, but watch it from the grave now as Merc slaughters Hot and Cold. 90 seconds remaining in this round, and it's TSM to get the upper hand, even if Merc very early in the round had sustained some significant damage and now is in an even worse spot.
Oh, the fire, though. That's going to slow TSM down their push because they can't just walk up the staircase anymore. A nade from below from Achieve could do the damage here and gave them back the map control. But if that nade doesn't go through and land true, you're going to be burning so much time.
And they're working now to flush out that Goyo of Fultz, as you talked about.
Let's see.
There's another grenade, and it does some damage to Fultz, but not enough to kill him dead to rights. There's Chala to finish off. Fultz was trapped inside of armory at that point, and with 1 minute to go, wasn't exactly in the best spot to survive. You basically play to die, knowing that your way out is being watched quite intently by the attacking squad. TSM still have all 5 players upright. SSG seen Skies take some damage. Other than that, it's all on the shoulders of Rampy and Bosco. Air jab goes off. Bolo knows there's one at the bottom of the stairs, does a ton of damage to Rampy, misses an opportunity for the second pick. He's still there, though, bottom of white. The rest of his team focused on the bomb sites. Bosco tossing out the toxic canister, still 2 remaining with 20 seconds left. Geo getting the diffuser down. Achieved sees one cross by the B-bomb chassis. Doesn't do much about it. Geo, without taking a single point of damage, manages to get the diffuser down, and there's an adrenal surge, well timed. First kill from Skies on to TSM, and now Skies is dropped by Chala. SSG just has that single kill to their name. They need an awful lot more than that. Bolo's isolated Rampy downstairs, no return back to the bomb site. That leaves Bosco in a 1v4. Very tough prospect to be in, especially on this bomb site, and he's not long for this world. TSM take their very first round.
Yeah, it was a slow start for TSM, but they managed to find not just 1 kill, but 2. That trophy run back on the opening kill, and then, of course, Fultz stuck inside of Armory couldn't get out. That was a nice pickup for him. I will say he could have maybe stayed on that reinforced hatch in the corner of Armory, bought more time, forced TSM to use a grenade. He swung out instead, tried to take the fight with the person on that Armory window rappel, and died just 5 or 10 seconds earlier than otherwise what could have been. And I actually thought SSG were in a half-decent position in that 3 versus 5. They still had the fire canisters, you know, on those walls on the ground from the Goyo. They still had 3 toxic babes on the side of Bosco, but they didn't really have much else they could do with it. I don't think that any idea whatsoever that TSM were indeed planting on that default position inside of games, because the toxic babes weren't going anywhere near that mark or that direction. It was for trophy door, the second toxic babe was on the breach itself, and then, well, a second later, Geo confirmed the plant, and then they realized we've been bamboozled. That's the round. That's 1-1 tied up in the series. Looking close so far. Early days, of course, but we expected both SSG and TSM to know how to play Oregon because it's an older map. It's a map that a lot of teams, they say, is very repetitive. It hasn't changed much, and with a Tiger repick, I don't think it has a massive influence either. You typically see the same couple of operators being brought out, but knowing exactly what bombs you will be attacking will change one operator on average each and every single round. For example, whether you play the Thermite or the Hibana, whether you want the Nomad or not. And for defenders, well, you just gotta pick your lineup because you know what bombs you're defending as you choose it yourself.
I always get thrown out with some of these sites that they're using,
yes.
By the way. That Russian site on the MPX that Rampy is bringing. In terms of personal preference, I actually really, really like that site a lot. That scope, whatever you want to call it, the Russian housing that they use. But it is still so strange to see that and be like, wait, what gun is that? Oh, it's just because of the casing. Got it.
It's even worse when you play because sometimes you'll forget. You'll have like SMG-11 with that Russian scope and you start shooting. You're like, wait, what a minute, the recoil is so high. Oh, that's right. SMG-11 weapon. My bad.
It's another Dorms defense, by the way. 1 minute burned off of the clock, and very limited action has gone out, but we can hear the telltale signs of the X-Kairos from Geo breaking out one of those reinforcements. So, SSG will want to hold map control down below. They didn't have the best job at it in the previous round. They got isolated. Bolo had control of the bottom of White Stairs. He's in that exact same spot right now. Rampy will try to retake as he hunts for drones. There's an air jab that had also gone off that aided Bolo on that information. Gone 6 goes to clear some debris on the stairs. And now TSM, after using the X-Kairos, presumably on a wall somewhere on the map, we actually can't tell where right now. It looks like it might have been back towards that tower wall. There's a Selma that gets tossed out from the hands of Chala.
And the big question mark here is if Bolo's isolated on small tower side of things, it could be bad. But the Chief is actually there to help him as we're watching Merc inside of big tower. And the air jabs now being brought in a different position than that of the previous round from TSM, meaning that they've adapted their attack, adjusted it, changed it up. And Rambi, he sees this, realizes, recognizes, goes to the flank with no information, has to check every corner for an air jab for a claymore before he can make his way up this tower stairs.
Seems to be very, very slow about this one. The air jabs, 2 of them have been put down. Merc still has 1 left to go somewhere, presumably when he knows exactly where the entry's going to come from, and there you go. He walks in, Skies goes down, first kill goes to TSM. With 30 seconds left, the urgency for Rampy to retake is only going to increase. We'll have to see when he goes for that because TSM have the diffuser in hand. They've got the big window as the priority. That's where Geo is posted right now. Case will need to go down. They were successful in the previous round. TSM looking for 2 for 2 on Dorms. Hongkol getting quite aggressive on the window, by the way. But Bosco sees Geo, and there's Merc sprinting in the middle of the bomb site. Goodness gracious. He picks up 2 huge kills. He has the kill from earlier on as well. Bolo diffuser in hand, getting the plant down. Chala and Merc still upright, but there's Rampy on the flank. Nobody to stop Bolo. Merc still watching, and it's a 1v1. Merc versus Rampy. Diffuser going. 40 seconds. Rampy hops on. Merc has plenty of time.
Merc?
What are you doing, Merc?
Merc?
Have to go. You have to go, and you don't do it fast enough. Rampy sits and gets one of the freest disables of his life. And the pendulum swings back towards Space Station.
It almost looked like Merc thought the bomb was planted in a slightly different position, trying to fake out the sprint footsteps on the White Stairs. But even if he hadn't faked it, I don't really think there's time enough to catch on. And Rampy, I almost thought for a second that the flank was coming in too late on his end. But it was actually very close to perfect timing. Had he swung around inside of Kid Storm towards the plant position, had they known where the diffuser was going down, he could have arguably killed the planter as well. But a second or two earlier, and Rampy buys more time. time, but either way, he came in clutch for his team. That was lurking on those big tower stairs throughout the entirety of that round, waiting for the right moment. And while he flanked, Merc just sprinted into side and created more distance between one another. And when you're flanking, when you're ram, you gotta consider again the air jabs, the claymores. Is there a flank drone? Do they know that I am here? And will I be looked like to be made a fool? But it was actually the other way around. Rambi made good work of it, and now we're going to see that basement defense once again. Extension, this time not so much in kitchen, but Rambi putting down these jammers up on the top floor inside of Trophy and top of White Stairs indicates that it's a similar approach to wasting time, but it'll be in an entirely different location. Skies, of course, with the Vigil as well, will help confuse TSM as to where the roamers are and where the defenders will be. The Vigil gadget goes both one floor up and one floor down in today's era of Rainbow Six Siege, so playing on the first floor for him makes the most sense. IQ from Merc here will help figure out where the Vigil is, but also where are the jammers. And that can help you build the picture of what is actually going on from this SSG roam.
IQ is an interesting pick, and I'm going to bring that word out, Nick. Interesting. And the reason why I find it interesting is because I don't think you end up with an IQ in this position if it's not for attacker repick. You likely use a 6-pick off of IQ or go with something else maybe a bit more optimal. But look at the lineup. You had a Valkyrie for those black eye cams, as you talked about, the mute jammers, goo mines, and then Vigil's cloaking ability, all spotted by Merc's gadget. So an IQ, a very optimal pick here. The issue with IQ is that she doesn't bring what is inarguably the most important part of an attacking lineup, which is explosives. But don't worry, the rest of the team has that covered. 2 nades in the hands of both Bolo and Achieve, or 2 sets rather. They have tons of explosive potential should they need it. There's Fultz to take down Bolo, by the way, so no adrenal surges anymore. Oh! Hey. Fultz is holding a meeting, and you're all invited. It's not going to be very long for either Bolo or Chala. They're shown a swift exit from this round, and SSG in a 5v3 with still half the round to go.
That's the roam being successful, if anything, but also just folks taking those gunfights and winning them. So it's an easy job for SSG, and now we see all 5 players now all the way back to the bomb site playing disciplined. And if there's one thing SSG is really good at, it is playing that discipline, understanding when you have the advantage and when you have the disadvantage. And when you're in a stable position, as they are currently, there is no reason to stick around on the roam and risk dying. So you all fall back, you play a 2-2-1 situation where 2 players can trade out 2 other players with 1 isolated target. And that isolated target right now is arguably Rambi inside a pillar. He can die to a grenade, and if he swings at the wrong time, Merc will maybe find his head. Other than that, most players from SSG are playing this just the way this should be. In fact, all 5 of them are playing it the exact way this should be in this situation. And TSM now has the task in front of them to try and pick apart the weakness or the gap in this defensive lineup.
Well, they just need to sit and wait, as you pointed out.
That's all they gotta do.
Meeting control for TSM. This job of getting the diffuser planted is going to be significantly harder, and while they have done it 2 rounds in a row, this is a very different bomb site, especially when you are trailing in numbers the way that we see TSM do. They've got control of the back tower stairs, but that's about it. Achieved, finished off by Skies. Another player, Merc, is there, and oh, it's a flawless one done from SSG. They all line up within the span of 3 seconds. Spacestation pummels TSM, and they stretch their lead by 1 round, now sitting at a 3-1.
And now we have to bring up the question, if this is TSM on their attacking side, which statistically is their better side, what's going to happen when the side swap comes in? How many more rounds can SSG muster before TSM gets another one on the board? And TSM are also wondering what exactly is going on, so let's call a timeout on the 4th round, or just after the 4th round, starting in the attack inside of Oregon, which looked to be a very good beginning for them, but very quickly turned out to be quite the opposite. Oh boy, if you're TSM's coach right now, you might be feeling a bit of distress, right? You've had a rough start to the season, you get Oregon, a map that you're very familiar with, you played it many times before, you get attacking starting side, which statistically is your best beginning you can have, and then you're met with a 1-3 split so far against SSG, who just got a flawless round against you in a roaming Oregon round, which is so rare to see working out successfully for the defenders. You gotta try and get at least 1 more round if you TSM. Preferably 2. At the very least, you gotta just pray that your defensive side has significantly improved since, well, yesterday. And that's not a lot of time to practice.
Tertiary bomb site coming into play after 2 successful defenses from Space Station here. Nick, it is Meeting and Kitchen. This is the most reliable 3rd bomb site that we see. The other, of course, is Kitchen and that mess hall, dining hall, cafeteria, which is in the top left of your screen right now. The way that teams are going to play this bomb site will look eerily similar to a dorms-style defense.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Up above, making verticality an extending issue, as we say, right?
Verticality and extending.
You pretty much
like exactly what I was going to say.
exactly that.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this, but here's something that's fascinating, by the way, as we talk about this. Is there something that you notice that is absent on the side of TSM?
There is not a hard breach operator, but Geo, who is the support player of TSM, did bring the secondary hard breach gadget.
Flexed off of
yes,
a hard breacher, by the way, to go with Nook and bring that can opener hard breach gadget. Again, explosives are the name of the game. You've got 2 of them from Zophia's Lifeline launcher, and then you've got 2 sets of nades from both Bolo and Achieved. Bolo's been an early death a number of times on attack. The timeout that was just taken from TSM might be done to try and settle down this team and keep their sights firmly focused on the job at hand because, as you pointed out, TSM are quite poor on defense in comparison to their attacks. If they're not able to run up the score on attack here, well, then that's dire straits for the side swap.
Geo playing Nook is kind of odd because, it's an operator that has to go alone typically, sneaking around the map and trying to get entries, but you're also having your only hard breach utility on your team, so you cannot go alone because if you die, no walls can be opened up. So I'm assuming that Geo wants to get inside the building whenever possible, use his utility, and then he can become a +1 operator. And right now, Hot and Cold almost became a +1 cam watcher, but he got away with his life.
Takes some damage playing in Attic. That was likely Merc to get the kill. SSG are still very committed to holding upstairs. There's a smoke from Rampy tossed out as he waits by the dorm's doorway, and the Zofia still holds true to that position. Merc has not given a single inch. There's the very first kill. It's on the Rampy. One of the nades have achieved that had been tossed out earlier. Didn't net anything, but the second one absolutely does. That means Hot and Cold is the next one in the firing line.
Yeah, now Hot and Cold on the shield has been drawn down, so they know his position. 2 players swing on in. It's an easy picking for Bolo, but Bosco is there to trade it back. Gets both players, even better scored for a 3 versus 3.
That's absolutely huge from Bosco, and as you said, he's still in tower. Fultz roaming down below. That means that none of these 3 players are directly on the bomb site for Space Station. They are all spread out. And Chala looks like he's awfully close to just walking on in. Now, the one operator that we saw Geo flex onto that we talked about, Nook, will we see anything happen with this operator? Chief, meanwhile, picks off Skies. Bosco heads back to the bomb site. We had seen him playing by those back tower stairs. On the roam and the flank and the lurk down below is Fultz. As Achieved knocks away at the floors. From above, that's going to put excess pressure on the defenders on that B bomb site, which is exactly where the diffuser is being shepherded to. Chala's got it in hand, and he'll start to get the diffuser planted with Geo to watch. But I don't know if Bosco's been made aware of this. Down goes Chala, so the diffuser has been surrendered. Geo picks it up. That means it's all on the shoulders of Achieved. Geo on the plant, but then falls off. He takes the engagement to Bosco, and all you need to do is wait, but Geo picks up a huge double kill. That one was a lot closer than they wanted, but TSM still walk away, even if it is an ugly round, with a victory.
Is that good old saying of X-player, why are you sprinting? And it's one of those iffy situations where you're so close to the door, you could just stay at the S, take that confrontation with Geo, or just get there a second faster by holding down shift, holding down that sprint key. But if Geo then swings you, you cannot shoot back, you cannot fight back, and you will be a completely free kill for him. So really small devil in the details there for the side of SSG, but also what was a nice opening for TSM achieved, finding the opening kill, second grenade, opened up the round, then it was a double swing into Attic onto Hot and Cold, who successfully got traded out by Bosco, trading 1 for 2, evening back the man score, but then Achieved once again strikes. Now this time from the vertical up above, finds a kill onto the bomb site, leaving TSM in that 3 versus 2 with the advantage. And the advantage was all they needed, right? Achieved could stay up above, hold down the vertical, 2 players walks in from dining and try and get down that diffuser, challenge you, the support duo doing support things, and therefore they could then get the round. TSM gets 1 more on the board, but they really want to get 1 more before the side swap.
And that really wasn't a convincing round from TSM at all, Nick. Sloppy gunfights are the story of those final 15 seconds. And if they'd broken in favor of Spacestation, that's Diffuser surrendered inside of Kitchen with achieved all the way upstairs. No hope to retrieve it, and that's the round going in Spacestation's favor.
It is. It was extremely close, and what was a really nice shot from Fultz on the freezer stairs, finding the angle onto the first planter. Looked like it could be the moment for SSG to like claw back the round, but you know, Geo happened. The Nuke 6-pick or attacker repick really paid off.
Geo happened, as did Rampy. Rampy just happened there, by the way.
Yeah, so did Achieved, right? Achieved and Rampy figuring things out together, or... And
well, I said Rampy happened.
Oh, Rampy
no longer
happened.
happens.
Okay.
It's past tense because Rampy just got picked off.
Happened. Okay.
Yes. It happenstance.
It happens.
SSG are peaking and making rotations with a minute to go and are getting punished by TSM, who have very quickly amassed their army around the exteriors of the bomb site. That was damage done to Bosco, by the way. You don't want to lose your smoke with 2 minutes left in the round.
You don't, and the thing about Achieved in particular is that he's been playing really well for TSM, despite the fact that the team overall hasn't been the best performers. His opening kill statistics so far, before this match happened, is 4-0. So he's gotten 4 opening kills with 0 opening diffs. And so far in this game, Achieved has gotten 2 or 3 opening kills with TSM as well, which means Achieved popping off, doing a really good job, but rest of TSM, where are you? You're not really helping Achieved get these things. Merc is trying his best, and actually, him and Geo together finds a kill as well, but they need more of this consistently throughout every round.
That was a nice pickup as well on the Fultz. The nade hitting its mark. SSG's Dorm's defenses upstairs have left something wanting. They did pick up the victory back in round number 3 on that second attempt. But again, that was somewhat aided by the fact that TSM are committing a number of mistakes. Now, Skies takes out Chala before being traded back by Geo. 1 minute to go, and there's a double up in terms of numbers with TSM holding a 4v2 advantage. The one good thing about this bomb site, and we say it all the time, is that this bomb site works towards you if you hold on to it, Nick.
It does. I'll say for TSM, that trade was worth it because you want to have as few defenders available as possible once you hit that bomb site. One Goyo canister has been shot right now from hot and cold, which denies TSM some time on the clock, and Toxic Babes will be coming out with that vertical nade doing some damage, and if hot and cold can find this kill on the breach, it might matter, but Merc says it won't because Bosco gets shot down the white stairs, and Geo follows to the breach, and that is once again a round for TSM, evening it back 3-3.
Well, the timeout paying immediate dividends as there's 2 rounds to follow, so excellent job by TSM. And in those 2 rounds, even though round number 5 was sloppy, that was the gun duel that happened in Kitchen, that was a coin toss. Quite literally, by the way. Doa, what does the coin toss say about that? Sorry, by the way, I have to keep clearing my throat. I'm having terrible allergies out here, as I think you have been.
Yes.
As well, yes.
Yeah, mine's in my throat, not for the coughing part, but like I feel like a swelling or whatever, so yeah, it is what it is.
That's not good.
It's not good at all. Did you take an allergy pill today?
I did. I actually had to take allergy medication yesterday and today. It's the first time that I've had to take any type of allergy medication in like well over 2 years. So it's been affecting me. Who is more worthy of the hammer, by the way? 56% of you say TSM. And, well, with the way that they've been playing prior to today's match, I wouldn't necessarily agree. But with the way that they just played that first half, you drew on your better half. That is still not the best prospect for TSM as they now move on to, traditionally, their worst side. In terms of the tale of the tapes in that first half, SSG got 2 opening picks, TSM got 4. TSM planted the diffuser back in round number 2 on that Dorm's bomb site and got the opening pick and the round victory in both rounds after the timeout was taken. So obviously proving that they were able to talk through some strategy and also maybe just settle down the emotions or whatever of the team. Now as we switch sides, TSM's very first defense is going to be downstairs in Laundry Supply.
And I'll also say that TSM also played significantly faster after that timeout. So that could be one of the things they spoke about during it, coach saying, guys, speed it up. These guys got some vulnerabilities. And the opening kill story, oh, I was just about to say how good TSM has been and how important it was for them. But it's SSG this time on their first attack round, finding one, but Bolo trades it back. It's a nice shot from him to Skies. The nuke off the board, top gunner from SSG. And of course, Volt still looking for more, but TSM is slowly falling back. Oh. Merc, nice drive-by as well.
Oh my, drive-by is absolutely correct. Fultz gets splattered for that one, and TSM are making this map their defensive playground. It looks like most of TSM have now fallen off of that middle floor, and they will save refuge down below, 1 minute off of the clock, and that's your soft cap on time. You pick off Fultz, you pick off Skies, that's the Finka down, that's the Nook down, and Skies has been the best performer on Space Station as well. So there will be more work that needs to be done from these players, especially Hot and Cold, who escaped that first half without a single kill.
I will say the saving grace of SSG right now is that Hibana is still on the board. They can get all the hatches opened up that are reinforced. They still get the flashbang together with the grenades. They can ADS clear and then get some explosive damage. And if you're SSG, you probably need one grenade kill to kind of open up the push for you, because going in guns blazing 3 versus 4 on a basement attack on Oregon usually doesn't really work in your favor. So try and keep an eye on those explosives. There are 2 from Rampy, 1 from Hot and Cold, and now with this 1 grenade going out, it's going to be 1 each, totaling 2 grenades, 3 flashbangs, and 3 guns. That's all they got to work with.
And Space Station have headed towards this blue part of the map. They're going to run face-to-face with Chala, who's playing behind the deployable shield. He's got toxic canisters in his pockets, all 3 remaining with 40 seconds to go. That's perfect time for them to just blanket this bomb site and prevent SSG from going in. That might have been a bit of a botched nade, and 1 toxic canister goes out, still 2 in the pocket. 30 seconds left means that SSG has to trudge on through it. Chala takes the engagement and loses the gunfight to Bosco. Space Station have control of blue. It's Merc on the drive-by from before, now watching the lone entry point as SSG's guns come alive, and it's puzzling the way that TSM are losing this. 2 players taken down, leaving Merc in a 1v3. In blue, he takes down the sledge, immediately pivots. He knows that somebody's over there. He sees the head, but he can't hit the shots onto Rampy. Rampy's aim is just better. Both of these players so good when it comes to duels. And the very first round on attack breaks for SSG in their favor.
While TSM did a really good job at falling back to the bomb site early after a successful roam, they did not do a good job of playing that 2-2 situation. What I mean by 2-2 is that you have 4 players left, you play in 2 groups of 2 so that you can trade out one another. You know, if you go from 4 versus 3 to 3 versus 2 to 2 versus 1, and then from a 1 versus 0, you win the round. So trading 1 for 1 effectively in every single gunfight, once you have the man advantage, which TSM did, that's how you can easily, or quote-unquote easily, win out the round. They failed to trade. SSG found 3 kills, TSM found 0. It became a 3 versus 1 instead, with Merc having to claw it back, could only find the 1, couldn't find the second, and the bomb would have been down in the 2 versus 1 situation if it wasn't for the fact that he lost the gunfight right before that happened. And this is, again, TSM's weaker side so far in Stage 1 of NAL, the 2022 season. And SSG's attacks, we all know it, they're so flexible. Look at right now, Sledge onto Nook, Finka back to Finka, and Flores onto the Nomad. So the fact that we're seeing an upstairs defense from TSM is triggering a response from SSG. And Hot and Cold, he got his first kill so far in this match. We're now playing 5 versus 5, everybody's on the board. And that's not gonna bode well for TSM, right?
Hot and Cold has officially spawned in, folks, in case you were curious. We always have to talk about players who underperform. It's something that needs to come up quite often on a team like Space Station, a team that is world class and a world champion caliber team. You can't have anybody dropping a donut, as the kids like to call it, or unable to win a single duel or provide much help on the score sheet. Hot and Cold coming alive, that's great. And he's on an operator right now on Nook, who is once again going to be tasked with getting kills. This might be a bit of a heady goal for Space Station to accomplish because of the fact that you've got a player who hasn't been exactly the best offensively, now playing an offensive operator.
And we see 4 players from SSG in small tower. Hot and Cold single-handedly roaming around on the big tower stairs from basement right now, and the flank from him will have to come on through in this kitchen green hallway. And honestly, with the timing that we see right now from Hot and Cold, he could get at least 1, maybe 2 kills as swing comes around. It's Merc sprinting in the hallway. It's easy pickings for Hot and Cold.
Oh, and he might get another one, but he pulls trigger a little bit too quickly, re-engages, and achieved fights to the very bitter end. TSM getting picked apart. Merkin achieved their rotates, again, just as they had done to SSG, are well read into. Bolo is still downstairs playing on that Thorn operator that we've seen a couple times.
He's going to be stuck. There's no way out here. He knows it, I think, as well. But Geo finds Foles that helps him out. But now, with that location being isolated as well, they have to kind of fall back and leave Bolo to die inside of Sir. But I don't think SSG necessarily knows the positioning here from Bolo. they seem very blind to the fact that he is right next to them.
The nade went sailing by as well. So Bolo knows that somebody was down there. It's been a rough day for Finka mains, Nick. Finka has not been providing the most utility, but oh no.
They have no idea.
Bolo might actually be able to do something with this. There's a blind spot. They haven't droned him out. One player up on those white stairs, or the Gemini rather, would give away Bolo's position had it seen him. He's wasting so much time right now. 50 seconds left, and Bolo is still there on the freezer stairs. He just has to wait to strike. He could be the absolute kingmaker, but there he goes. He gets droned out, re-engages against the Yana. Rampy taking a couple shots onto Bolo. Through the wall, it opens up, and he's going to have to fight to the death this time. Just so much time being committed on Bolo, who gets flashed out. The rest of SSG, with 30 seconds left, have to tackle the bomb site. That leaves it up to Gio and Chala, as they're the two that are playing nestled deep. Down goes Bolo, finally picked off. Again, though, TSM are in a better shape because this bomb site will work in their favor. There goes Bosco to Gio. Chala wants in on the action, and he's going to need to get more than one kill, but he can't. It's a 5th round for Spacestation. They are perfect so far on their attack.
I think Bolo was as confused as we were because it seemed like he thought that they knew he was there, but then they didn't. And then the moment he had that slight opening when the Gemini clone was shot from Rambi, he could have pushed up, gone aggressive, and try and take a fight, maybe get a kill or two, then go back up that white stairs back to safety. But it was slight hesitation from the side of TSM and from the side of Bolo. He was stuck downstairs, and the moment he got killed out, that's when SSG can put all 4 guns on towards the bomb site. So while Bolo was alive, that was the one moment TSM had a chance to really push from both angles, and the moment they lose Bolo's position, that's when the round really falls in favor of SSG. 5-3. TSM not finding any solidified success on the defensive round so far. Back to basement, so we've now rotated basement, Kid Storms back to basement, really trying to see what works. And you mentioned earlier on, Parker, we don't really see the tertiary bomb sites being used on Oregon much because usually they really aren't that great. And it really leaves TSM with way less to work with, where, let's say you're playing Border or any map where 3 bomb sites are viable, like Clubhouse as well, you could try and do different things, but because you're in Oregon, because it's a map you chose to go to, you really only have 2 bomb sites that really are good.
That's a bit rude to the other bomb sites.
I'm very sorry, but they just aren't that solid, you know? And it's not me saying that. I'm looking at statistics, the numbers, the preferences of players, and TSM themselves, well, they haven't gone to a tertiary bomb site yet. They're going basement, up, and then back to basement. So speaking factually from their preferences right now, that's just the way things are.
This is a very pivotal round for TSM. They burned their timeout all the way back in round number 4, for those of you that were paying attention. And it allowed them to win 2 rounds on attack. But now on defense, things are a lot tougher. And TSM is definitely in tough. Mark has been a standout performer for this team, as is Gio, which is very odd because Gio usually ends up being the worst performing player on TSM. He plays the unsexy roles. And playing Castle with a UMP in hand, usually to soak up utility and not really have much of an impact on the roam, is a very unsexy role most of the time.
It's a thankless job, really, is how you gotta put it, right? Because someone's gotta do it, and everyone knows that, but no one is like, you know, Gio, thank you so much for playing support, thank you so much for playing Castle. I'm having so much fun on Finga, except no one ever, essentially. Oh, yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry. Sign language there is not my strong suit.
We were trying to sign to each other, and let me be honest, it was pretty tough.
I thought he was pointing at my thigh. I was like, my thigh is fine, thank you, but there was a water bottle next to it, and that was...
I'm not allowed to point at your thigh.
You are fully allowed to. I just didn't understand the suggestion that you were coming at me with.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
Drone work for Spacestation has eaten up half of this round so far, as they now pivot away from back tower, which is where they were looking. They've still got a couple players there, but the fall off is very real. This is the bottom floor bomb site, so you want to control some of tower, especially back tower stairs when you're looking at pillar. But you also want to tackle blue control, and that was where things fell apart last time for TSM on this bomb site.
Yeah, so what we want to see from TSM right now is to set up that group situation system where you have players trading each other out, supporting certified positions or fortified positions, and blue, very important, pillar, very important. Then you got to hold on the flanks on freezer stairs and laundry stairs, other with information, but the timing again, a Chief turns around, runs away, gets shot in the back from Rambi, and this is not the trade that we needed.
No, absolutely not. That's another opening pick for Spacestation. They've got 30 seconds left. And they're looking for more, but oh my, it's a win for TSM. 2 in a row as Hot and Cold and Skies gets shut down. Bosco, the lone bright spot. He picks off Bolo. SSG trail in numbers, TSM taking their lumps, Merc in particular. But Bosco needs to get the diffuser, a beautiful shot for Merc, and it's match point denied by TSM. They pick up their very first round on defense. That's round number 4 for them. They still trail behind Space Station by 1 round.
And that's Merc quite literally saying, you know what, I could do this better myself. Just runs in, basically into elbow, through the rotation, through the smoke, gets the kill, falls back away, supporting Chala in that important position that happened. And it was a bad beginning because Achieved had that terrible timing on the pillar stairs where he swung, then kind of got cold feet, turned around, got shot in the back from Ramby, and that looked like that was the round over for a moment there in favor of SSG. And now we see the Tertiary bomb site because Kid Storms worked out so poorly that we would rather see a dining kitchen. And yes, dining kitchen. This is not meeting kitchen. This is the one that we see less commonly in pro play. Used to be very popular, nowadays isn't as much. We're actually going to see a small tower extension from TSM, at least that's what the Jaeger and the Frost kind of indicates. Frost traps on the window jump-ins, ADS is up here. I assume a shield was supposed to go there as well because Dio has one in his pocket, but either way, you're going to try and extend and try and hold on to it. And normally, if you're an attacker, you might just change up your entire situation. Look at the attacker repick.
They have completely upended their lineup.
Every person.
The only consistency is the Finka. Fultz was originally on that role. It's now been passed over to Rampy. The rest of this team from Space Station opting to go with what works. And given the lineup that we see, Echo, not a meta operator more often than not. Frost, not currently a meta operator. I like the tools that are being brought from both these teams.
Yeah, and this is SSG, you know, I guess they want to contest straight on because the question comes, when you see the small tower hold as an attacker, the C4 is so good from Merc, and that's really going to help him in this position because normally this is a do or die position if you're playing here. No shield for him, just ADSs, a single frost trap, and vertical support from that singular window. They also can give information, act as a Jonas and Monty on this window, but cannot shoot back, so there has to be a guy behind him that can do it for him.
He's going to stay up there as small tower's being scouted out right now. Bosco! Merc is just feeling one. This is nasty. Here's Osa now playing this angle, and Merc once again needs to play or die. He's missing every single one of these shots. Drawn down again as another player from Space Station will go over towards the window that Merc is hugging quite tightly. He'll get flashed and then sees the thermite of Bosco, but cannot pull trigger fast enough. SSG have now claimed control of small tower, but Merc dragged a lot of bodies down with him, taking both Skies and Rampy out of action. And again, the Finka curse is very real.
He also arguably killed the 2 most important-ish operators on the side of SSG. The grenades, the LMGs, the soft breach. Sure, you got the flourish. You still got some Terror drones coming around here trying to do some damage as well, but outside of that, you know, you're not going to be able to kill Bosco. He's on drones, not swinging you, so Heartbreach will stay alive. Hot and Cold has a little shield in front of his face, so again, Merc cannot take out that player. So it's very well done for him. And now Falls, he jumped into the Frost Trap. They took small tower control and no one cleared the Frost Trap. Oh,
they spent so many drones. Did they even drone the window? That's the real question, Nick.
It must have not. Oh, at the very least, if they did not communicate it or they forgot about it. It does happen, of course, but you really didn't want to see that because now Falls is 20 HP and Hot and Cold's Osa Shield's the only real utility that SSG can use to try and plant here. Bolo has impacts, but where are they?
They're being planted right now. There's the Yokai drone trying to get there, but they can't do it in time. He manages to knock him off very briefly, but oh no, Bolo, you impact yourself, and he ends up paying for it. He's down for the count. Diffuser planted by Space Station as well. Things are looking quite good for them, but there goes Hot and Cold. Bosco and Fultz in a 2v3 as Bolo bleeds out on the floor. Still behind these dual Osa shields as the time continues to burn down. Bosco playing a game of whack-a-mole right now, and he gets swatted away by Chala. So Fultz will need to clutch, and there's a Rotero drone to go and take out some of the floor. Achieved right now is there, but gets punished by Fultz before Bolo takes him out, and TSM tie the game.
It's a good push from TSM. They got the revive. They played that 2 versus 4. They pushed up super aggressive. Nice shot from Chala onto Bosco on that Osa shield. And, well, there was no vertical hole in the floor just yet, so the Flores had to get off the gun onto the drone, and Merc here. Huge kills from TSM. Arguably single-handedly putting that round in their pocket, but we gotta ask this question here. Bolo, what is going on? You're inside of showers, you miss your first impact. Then the second impact hits the wall in front of you. And right after that happens, you vault through the rotate and you die because there are two people staring in your direction, both ready for it. It's questionable exactly what is going on. And while Bolo has a phenomenal attack inside usually, he had an alright today. And while he's 6 and 7 right now, scoreline-wise, actually being the third highest gunner for his team, it's just the decision-making and positioning that comes to mind where it's a bit puzzling. So, want to see him redeem himself, hopefully, either in this game or in the near future, because I know a lot of fans, they very quickly, you know, bandwagon fans, they change very quickly. Ah, this player's great. Ah, this player's terrible, etc. Stick to your guts, guys. If you're a TSM fan, if you're a Bolo fan, stick with them for the whole season at least before you start jumping around to conclusions.
All right. Well, we need all 12 rounds to settle this. It's funny because when I was at home watching these matchups last week, most of the games were done relatively quickly. But guess what? Of the 4 matches that you and I have casted, 3 of them needed at least all 12 rounds. So the only quick one was that OXG Beast Coast matchup. That was it, and that was our last match yesterday. So a little fun, interesting tidbit. Could this be the heartbreak incoming, though, as TSM mount a very impressive comeback, taking 4 of the last 6 rounds to tie the game. First kill goes to Spacestation as it's Fultz on the Nook to do some serious damage.
Also note that we're actually going to another tertiary bomb site because TSM has given up on the defaults of top and basement. So we are seeing a meeting down in defense now. So a different situation than the one before. And we also see SSG taking more map control, more space than that direct attack of the previous round. And Nurkic now have been played by 3 different people. 2 from the side of SSG with Hot and Cold and now Fultz, and once, of course, on the side of TSM. Actually 4, because both Geo and Merc played it as well. So 1 single operator on 4 different players so far in Oregon in 11 rounds. I guess Nuke really is meta these days.
Well, she has been seeing quite a high pick rate. Also being brought again by Spacestation. I do like that pick and the creativity that is brought out by those shields. Glass panes that are put on down. It's pretty nifty. I also liked the SSG setup, though, almost like the 2, it looked like hurdles that were set in the previous round when they planted behind it, one shield in front of the other, so that if one gets impacted, guess what? There's another to play off of as well.
Certainly. I think the fact that Oza has 2 of those shields really is the wow factor. If you only had 1 and it disappears, so you get shot down or impacted or whatever, it's like, oh, that's all your gadget does. But having 2, you can use them in such different positions, and also you can pick them back up and relocate them if you want to. So putting them down early is not a bad idea because they can be maneuvered back around, and almost every single member of SSG now has taken some form of damage. Still got the Razor Booms from Bolo, can take out some as well. And no C4s left, no Toxic Babe. So 40 seconds is the full story. But Geo with an aggressive flank together with Bolo inside of Attic.
Well played by Geo with 30 seconds left for TSM to get back in this fight. Fultz was low on HP, so there wasn't too much there. Diffuser getting planted by Hot and Cold. This is happening in a relatively safe spot, but Chala needs to be able to stop it. He can't. The kill feed is just flying at this point. And now it's Geo again with that game of whack-a-mole we talked about before. Skies is the one to pop up and shut down a potential round for TSM. Match point for Spacestation.
Yep, as those shows once again coming in with a big amount of value. And we saw Hot and Cold creep around, got into the breach, put it down, you turn around, and you can start planting. And even if there's no cover from a teammate next to you, at least you're not going to get shut down instantaneously. But that shield also sees both ways. And what you can do, we saw this in Europe actually, when Rogue played in one of their games last week, or earlier this week, should I say, they meleeed the shield after putting it down so that the attack, or the defender, sorry, wouldn't know whether you're planting or waiting. And it's something interesting that I don't see much in North America just yet, where, you know, Hot and Cold clearly doesn't mind if TSM can see what he's doing. So it is an interesting situation where you can always make the decision whether to keep it intact or to shatter it. It still stays alive, it still protects you, you just can't see what's happening. So as time goes on and more teams play Osa and we get more experience with her, I am curious to see if that's going to change or if we're just going to see this double-way mirror, if you will, be the approach to the operator.
Jackal being brought as well. Is that the first Jackal that we're seeing today?
That is the first Jackal we've seen today, actually. And
interesting.
Interesting.
Fascinating, some would even say. Absolutely fascinating, man.
and expecting the roam, right? And I mean, attacker repick, they know the roam is happening, they know the castle's on the board, but TSM actually not really being as aggressive as they were before. It's Merc just kind of ratting around, but now with Skies and Jackal, there's no way that's gonna work, right?
The allergy's getting to you as well.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Yeah, I know. I'm very sorry.
That's okay, man.
Man.
It's allergy season.
It is allergy season. It kind of it impacts my my speech a little bit.
What a tragedy that is. All right, very pivotal round. You talked about how TSM were eschewing those traditional bomb sites. A laundry supply room defense is as traditional as it gets. That is correct. Leaving just 2 minutes for SSG to figure this one out. Their record is a 50-50 split right now, but look at...
Oh, they're hitting site.
They're hitting site very, very quickly. 3 players from SSG. They look, the site is almost completely empty. It's all on Chala, but SSG just bulldozes him, and down goes Bolo as well. Spacestation have full control of the bomb site, achieved with the lone kill. Merc gets one as well. So the retake from TSM is happening. Now it's Geo to stop him. There's no coverage from Spacestation. They are squandering the opportunity that they had, and Achieved gets punished by Hot and Cold. Geo is trapped inside of that small closet. Oh boy, SSG, what are you doing? And now Geo takes down Rampy. This is a total mess. Hot and Cold will need to clutch. A 4K with 1 HP. Can he get it done, Nick? Grenade in hand, but Merc will swing on him, and there it is, overtime on the board. SSG had full control of the bomb site, but it's a perfect retake from TSM, and we need at least 2 more rounds to settle this between these two teams.
So a perfect read from SSG, rushing the bomb site directly, and a really perfect retake from TSM to then get the round as well. The yellow ping on side, Geo with the UMP getting 2 kills on the retake, and of course it's Merc to clutch out the round for his team of TSM. And we spoke earlier, Parker, briefly about what are our expectations for this game, and I said very simply, I think either TSM will win or SSG will win, which that will guaranteed happen one way or another. Right. But we really didn't know whether this was going to be like a 7-0 stomp from one team, going to be, you know, a 7-4 or 7-5 close game, or if we need overtime to settle Oregon between these two. And now we see it. We need most likely every single round we can get to see who comes out on top.
Well, it's this dining bomb site from TSM that they went to back in round number 10, and they prevailed on.
Thanks to Merc, one could say.
Thanks to Merc. That was the innovative OSA setup that we saw from Space Station. One thing I do want to talk about is the operator bans and how they are impacting this match. SSG are usually very strong at being able to hit both dorms and that top and the, on dorms on top and also the hatch and meeting to then drop into box down on laundry supply room. But TSM removed Ying from play, and that is hindering SSG on some of these attacks. The teams were an even split, 3 rounds apiece on both sides, showing just how even they are. And yes, there has been some fun bomb sites that we have seen pop up with TSM succeeding on the less than common ones.
And we see 5 attacker repeat operators again from SSG. I imagine that Hot and Cold will walk up the staircase with the Monty and apply pressure onto Merc, while we have 2 players, 1 on each window, applying pressure there as well, because they need to clear up Merc. And last time it didn't work out in their favor. They should know the situation. They should know the frost trap, etc. And we'll see them slowly starting to make their approach. It will be Hot and Cold with the Monty walking up the staircase. Oh, that C4 almost kills him entirely. He's down to 10 HP. But this here is the Monty applying pressure, 1 on each window, but with the Monty being so low on health, you can't really risk unextending, but it won't matter because Bosco finds 1 and Foltz finds another, and TSM, they're down bad right now.
They absolutely are. 2 very quick picks from Space Station, but it's not like they walked away fully healed. Bosco is on 1/3 of his HP. Hot and Cold is on maybe 1/5 of his HP, probably down to 10 HP at that point. So a lot ventured, but a lot also gained as you take Merc and Achieved out of action. Geo is still very much up, and he has been the savior in so many of these rounds, Nick. He has come in out of nowhere, flying in on a flank, off the top rope, if you want to say that, and just punishing them. But you've got a lot more work to be done if you're Gio Chala standing under an open hatched, and Fultz gets the kill. SSG right now still flawless in this 5v2.
The one easy way in that TSM has is, if, SSG walks in the breach, starts planting, one impact grenade from Bolo will take out Hot and Cold, and then you can also kill the planter afterwards. So if Gio can find this pick onto Fultz, having a stair contest, and he does. We need Bolo on the side to hold it down. When he sees the Monty, the call-out should come out, he's low on HP. Hit him directly, Bolo, he's 1 HP, there it is, double impact grenade kill, and that's what you need if you're TSM.
That's what we talked about with Bosco and Hutton being so low on HP. Skies takes out Gio, it's Bolo to clutch up. He had that big 2-piece that we just saw. Gets droned out from his position over by 90, and now rotates back towards Showers. A long line of sight on in, but pick your poison. Where is that diffuser going to be planted? It was surrendered when the kill onto the Monty went down. Bolo does quite a bit of damage to Skies, but gets stunned in the process. I don't know if he saw that Rampy was side by side, shoulder by shoulder. Bolo can get out and go for a flank here. This could be quite strong. Diffuser being planted by Skies. Bolo will swing, and it's Rampy to seal the deal and end him. Space Station go on to match point.
That right there could have been a Bolo redemption, but it played out the exact way that we imagined, right? First, the Monty walks in the small tower, tries to eliminate Merc's position. One player on each window. That works out successfully. Merc, however, was the one to kind of end the round there for himself by sprinting once again towards the window, and all Bosco had to do was be ready and then press left click. Then, it was the Monty walking into that breach, trying to plant the diffuser down, and Bolo with the 2 impact grenades came out on top. And right before that happened, it was Gio trying to retake up the hatch vertical inside of Kid Storms. He won the gunfight against Fultz, and they almost got back into the round with those 2 individual plays. But unfortunately, in the 1 versus 2, SSG, we always know it, they're so clutch when it comes to the 1v1s and the 1v2s.
Very strong bomb site now for Space Station's first and only defense of overtime. They're going to go down to Laundry's supply room. They are a perfect 2-0 on this bomb site back in round number 1 and then in round number 4. In fact, Space Station forced TSM to take a timeout at the tail end of round number 4 after they won here. This was also a comfortable bomb site for them on attack. They took 1 of the 3 attempts against TSM, so it's something that they know quite well. In terms of lineup being brought by TSM, this is very bog standard, as we say. You've got a Finka and a Zofia, which are both always required. There's a Sledge in action as well. And you've got, for hard destruction, your Hibana matched with the Flores and the Rotero drones. Those Rotero drones will be integral to clear out blue control if that's where TSM wants to attack from. Early action as Rampy loses half of his HP in a scuffle. But other than that, 30 seconds off of the board, and TSM still knee-deep in the discovery phase.
Yeah, and TSM has every single tool they need to tear this round apart, but the opening has to go in their favor, otherwise with the man count it's going to be a lot more difficult once you approach the bomb side. Merc could be a surprise factor, coming from the right-hand side of Freezer Door, and SSG, they say, it's been about a minute, give or take. We're going to drop down the hatch now and play safe and sound, and Bolo, do not walk down the Freezer stairs this time, my friend. There is a Bosco shotgun waiting for you, just like in that opening round, all the way back in round number 1. It's a long time ago, so hopefully he remembers as well as we do, because we might just see the same thing happen again.
He might have a distinct memory.
Oh,
here.
God, he walked backwards. We're good.
There you go. But at least it burns one of those toxic canisters from Bosco, as we talked about. 2 Razor Blooms in the pocket of Skies yet again, by the way. So they can be tossed out later on. I would love in an interview as to why they are waiting, because they can be retrieved. You can pick up a Razor Bloom and reset it. It's not like once you put it down, it's immobile utility.
But it depends where you throw them, right? Because if they go top left corner of a door, it's like it is actually too far out of reach. And on Oregon, if you put it on a staircase, you gotta walk all the way to the staircase and pick it up. It's risky,
That's
right?
the same with every gadget, Nick. That goes without saying.
Yeah, but so
if you huck a Valkyrie camera 20 feet above,
exactly,
you probably can't get it.
But back. The difference is, if you don't know where the attack comes from and you want the gadget to have an effect, you gotta make sure you know where the attack is coming from and then throw it. So I think they're waiting for that information, then making the active decision of saying, okay, it's a blue take, 2 Razor Blooms in blue, boom. Guaranteed value, right?
They still have 1 reinforcement as well. Space Station wants to barricade themselves away from this elbow position. Skies is going to get rushed on as there's 3 players from TSM inside of blue, and tick-tock goes the clock with 40 seconds left. If you go for the reinforcement, you need to go quickly. Skies gets flashed out, and TSM will take up space very fast. No reinforcement, so they're going to play off this very aggressively. Merc gunned down after he takes out Rampy, so they trade him out. Chala waiting for a re-aggress over towards blue, but all the the rest of TSM are falling by the wayside. Down goes Bolo. Chala will push in. Folt's on very limited HP. Skies watching the area from which Chala will come. And this will just simply be a reflex test that Skies wins. TSM now in very bad shape. Geo taking even more damage as he and Achieved are the last two players for this team. 6 seconds left. Achieved is nowhere to be found. Inside of the bomb site, but there's no diffuser. It's him in a 1v3, and it's a messy end, a frantic end, but Space Station takes it 8-6 over TSM.
That to do there in TSM. They tried to go for that blue take, but the one thing the camera didn't catch, but that we saw from the top-down point of view, is that while the push came in, Bolo went for a deep flank all the way around to lobby, down the lobby stairs, tried to get it work, but Foltz was waiting for him. He shut him down the moment he stepped down that staircase. And once the flank doesn't work out, then SSG can turn around and put all 5 guns in one direction. And that's how you lose those basement attacks. If you only come from a one singular entry point, it's way too easy for 5 defenders to shut you down.
I will say this for TSM. I think they overperformed our expectations on defense, Nick. They certainly played a lot better, but there's some things that they need to work on. A loss that they have suffered against SSG here, well, you got to make up ground if you want to make it to the major, right? And TSM are at a point now where 3 losses is usually enough to disqualify you from making it to the major, especially when 2 of those came in regulation time. The one bright spot is that TSM gets a point for this because they lost in overtime. Other than that, that's the matchup. We've got the analysts eager to break this down, but before we get there, we're going to toss to a break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Through dripping Aquafina, I'm sipping 15, kept a weapon on me. Flow make digits, I'm on my business, stack chicken like what it's gon' be. Crew in the cut, hey, you want us red run when I tell a peace. Love is love. Love is love. Adios. Bendo with the switch again. Boy deliver like he heffing. Core with digits, give him estimates. Somersaults for my Benjamins. I got what you need, baby. Skirt the Chevy, make a scene, baby. LABB been the team, baby. Been Papa, word the G, baby. Look, labs till I'm finished. Had a handful of lemons through the hand. Got a bag, now the hands in the business. For my hand, it's a ticket. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I've been playing with the minutes that they been shoulda gave. And I'm flipping every digit that they been shoulda paid. Had to find a way to get it. No, this isn't what you made. If I ever wanna dip, then I'm brink with the blade. And I'm brinking a blink on the brink of some dumb shit. Watch how I move, cause I know the brink's coming. Watch for the blues, cause I know that they...
Welcome back, everybody to the Rainbow Six North American League. Oh yeah, we're off to a great start. Yeah, it's going good, but it's going better for the person we have waiting for us over in Las Vegas. It's Skies from Space Station Gaming coming off of that win over TSM. Skies, can you hear me out there?
I can hear you.
All right, great, great. So getting the win over TSM, of course, it had to come in overtime. So my first question for you is this. When it gets down to the wire, when it gets down to those overtime situations, how are comms going right now? Do they get a little bit crazy? Does everybody kind of focus up? Like, what's the vibe like?
I think it varies game by game. Specifically, like, it just depends. But that game, the comms were great. Even when things weren't going well for us or we were stalling, everyone just kind of kept composure and everything was clean. We knew what was going on. It was good.
All right, well, Skies, I know you've been on the analyst desk before, so I want to pick your brain about some analytics. I want to talk to you about Nook, because your team, Spacestation Gaming, I think is the best Nook team in North America. You guys rock her all the time. My question is twofold. Number one, why do you think that Nook is sometimes more valuable than an operator like a Sledge or a Finca, and how do you decide who gets to play it? Because it feels like everybody takes a turn.
It kind of varies based on the defense. You know, a good example is like when they went kids, we had Matt, Hot and Cold, play the knock, and that was just because we knew how they would play it, and Matt is kind of in that position to where he's freed up and can kind of do whatever to support somebody else. So, you know, we made the call, well, I guess Bosco made the call to have him go knock and just kind of lurk and work the picks on Kitchen. And TSM was abusing Valkyrie pretty much that whole game. They were using it super well, so that's kind of the main reason why we pulled it out, is like a lot of the kills and a lot of the fights they were taking is because they had information.
What's the deal with repick as well? Obviously, it doesn't feel as though the Nook is the thing that you kind of go into that setup with, but it feels like you guys are always shifting around what you're using on attack. Like 5-man usually will switch over to something completely different on that side. Is it more a case that you're just like picking up a couple of like default operators and then you see the site and kind of figure it out from there, or do you have a different use for repick that way?
I think it's a mix of both. I would say me specifically, I repick a lot. Matt's behind me, sorry. I repick a lot because I'm the flank watch now, but I also don't want to be that flank watch that just completely relies on Nomad. I feel like that's kind of a lot of people's problems that play the role. So I kind of want to be more of a flank flex, if that makes sense. I want to be able to help the team while also not just sitting there and making sure they get shot in the back. So I think that's one reason why we change so much, is because I feel like I'm capable of doing that. It's something I try and practice every single day. And you know, we're open to ideas. Everyone's always throwing something out there, so if we think it's going to work, we just trust it and we run it, and that's why I think we see a lot of random picks from us.
You know, speaking of adaptability, that's kind of a word that gets thrown around a lot when people talk about Spacestation Gaming right now. Is that something, the flexibility, the adaptability, is that something that is a specific emphasis in terms of practice for the team, or is it something you feel kind of comes naturally?
I would say a lot of it is from practice. I do think like we do have naturally flexible players, but I think a lot of it comes in practice. Like things we do in practice, we do on game day. And I know some people, you know, also like will joke around, be like, people don't do certain things on game that they do in scrims. But I think our team and a couple others are one of the few that consistently will do what they do in practice on a game day.
All right, cool. Interesting to hear, and congrats again on the win. That's where we'll leave it. We'll let you go. Thanks for joining us, and good luck next week.
Thanks. Good luck, guys.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Well, we don't need luck. this analyst desk is tight. Like, forget my intro to this segment, of course, but like this, aside from that, this analyst is tight. Yeah.
Totally, totally. We're all put together. No, it was a great interview. I thought that he gave us a lot of like cool insights into the team, attacker, repick, Nook, a lot of cool stuff. The comms as well. SSG right now look like maybe the best run team in the NAL. Auction putting them maybe in that contest, but nice to see how everything works on Spacestation Gaming.
Can I real quick? I don't necessarily know how possible it is, but I just want to flip my Predator Gaming laptop around real quick, and I'm going to show you something.
That's an impressive looking laptop.
Because this logo right here is what TSM Sleep Paralysis Demon looks like.
No.
There's no way for them to win attacks. Defenses. We thought they had a decent handle on it for today, but somehow this icon, no matter what TSM do, is the bane of their existence. You'd hope somewhere along the way they'd be able to put these things together, but either it falls on Bolo, who right now seemingly isn't able to win the gunfights he used to be able to win back at the 6th Invitational, or they're just slumping. Why is this such a problem for TSM right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. We'll look at the stats and find out. We can digest a little bit more from that as well. By the way, it's very impressive that your laptop screen swings.
I know.
Mine doesn't do that. Wish I had one.
What laptop?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Your cards?
Oh,
anyway. I see.
Well, what
you
do
brought the
got
coin on us. You don't deserve a laptop.
Well, the numbers here, Doa, are nice to see because for a guy like Bolo that we have talked a lot about, he actually did do pretty decent, 8-11. That's like not too bad coming in for TSM. Merc obviously being the big fragger, and Sky is the man that we interviewed up there right with him. 4-2 entry is probably the most important or impressive thing on this stat line for me. The 15 kills from 2 players and a 14 from Geo, also very nice. But interesting to see like that 57 cost number also coming in from Merc. Means that a lot of his kills were kind of condensed into a couple of big rounds where he got, you know, 2Ks, 3Ks, 4Ks, but weren't spread out between a lot of different rounds, and sometimes he just wasn't finding impact.
I mean, he had those small tower holds, and for the first one, it was actually pretty solid. He killed 2 before. I mean, and he stalled for enough time to actually allow TSM to win the round off. I think it was the Echo play, right? And then second time, it wasn't nearly as effective. I feel like TSM's defense, obviously that's where they're struggling, but it feels like that's where their individual strengths are not coming to play this game so far. If you've got guys who are going for multi-kills on defense like from before, now it's not. It's never manifesting the same way.
And talking about TSM's defenses too, like I felt like their site rotation was really weird here on Oregon. They really didn't seem to want to go up to dorms, which typically for every team is the secondary bomb site. You go to laundry, you have a great time, you win because it's laundry. Then you go to dorms, you have a great time, you win because it's dorms, and then you try these like main floor sites that aren't that good. TSM really wanted to try those main floor sites, and aside from that one big individual round from Merc where he played up in small tower and got 2 kills, they really weren't able to win those mid sites. So I don't know if maybe they could have played a little bit more on dorms. I will say when they were attacking dorms, they made it look like a garbage site. They were really solid at taking on that bomb site. So maybe there's something to it. Maybe TSM were a little ahead of the meta, but regardless, they weren't able to get, I think, as many defensive rounds as they would have liked, and perhaps a change in sites would have made that better.
Well, let's look at a couple rounds in particular. The first we're going to look at is going to be round number 3, and this is one of the rounds where it went kind of long, but we did, which I feel like a lot of the rounds did in this particular map, but this is one where Rampy will come in and be the superhero at the end.
Yeah, so if you weren't able to catch this one, Rampy's been sitting at this part on backstairs for a long time. He's already allowed the members of the TSM attack to get all the way through Attic, and he's waiting for his opportunity, his chance to sneak in from the back line and catch TSM napping when they go for their execute. And we actually, Nick was saying on the cast, he was wondering if this was actually a little bit too late, and it proves to be just at the right time. So you'll see Chaw is still about to make the approach through Attic. Rampy is at the top of your screen. He's waiting for his opportunity to go, but he's going to do it when he's damn certain that nobody from TSM is expecting to look towards Attic and they can solely focus on the execute. Merc is cleaving a path, and Rampy now is making his move. Fultz is going to have at least a little bit of cover, which makes Rampy's life a little bit easier, but again, he's not looking in that direction in the slightest. There is a trade back, so now there's more kills for Rampy still to find, and it turns into a 1v1, and this is where we were like, hey, SSG seem like they're on another plane right now because Merc comes back down white. He doesn't realize Rampy's going to stick the plant. He, in fact, does, secures the round for SSG, and that felt like the thing that really gave SSG enough momentum to keep that half in their favor, for most of it anyway.
Yeah.
And it's nice to go to a dorms replay too, right after we were talking about that bomb site. And it did feel like it was a good push from TSM in general. It looked like they were going to make that work. They almost had that round until we saw the big individual play coming in from Rampy. So it just kind of again goes to show you that like sure you can win this site as a defender, but it's going to take a lot.
Yeah, TSM were picking it apart, and the only real reason why SSG secured a dorms round was Rampy being a little bit creative on Valk. That was it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, there were some rounds where TSM put on a pretty solid performance, and it seemed like it was kind of little things, and that I think is kind of the theme of the next replay we're going to take a look at. It's going to be from round 8, and it's going to be situations where TSM had sometimes set themselves up for success, but it was just a matter of kind of missing some shots from time to time.
So I think there's 2 things in round 8 that I really want to dive into. The first is the Nook play that I was able to ask Skies about, and this time it's hot and cold. It's a really nice use of Nook. Sneaking through big tower to be able to avoid some of those cameras and pick up 2 big kills on this really heavy bottom roam. And then it's this play from Bolo, and I don't like to hate on Bolo all the time, but it has to be brought up. His roam game was really poor continuing on the trend today, and this is kind of a good example of sort of what's going wrong. He's in security, they don't know he's there. They've already cleared 2 players in kitchen. They don't think there's a 3rd main floor roamer, but there is. And still, Bolo is not going to be able to find a whole lot of value playing down here. He's just going to sprint across with pretty much no information on who's outside there. almost gets clopped down, but Rampy unfortunately misses some shots. Nades get thrown at him now. He's got the secondary in his hand. He's going to get flash full blinded.
Yep.
And the swing just isn't able to come out in time, and we don't quite catch it on camera, but he does fall without finding any kills from that position.
Look in the top right.
It's always being watched. You can see his outline down there, and you can see the outline of Skies, the man that was watching him as well. That flank watch role, he talked about how important that is for his team. So it's just these struggles that Bolo's been having, and it is kind of an individual thing, and I want to see it get better, but so far through 4 games, it hasn't been there.
I'm discouraged about this, honestly. There's that streak that Bolo had back when he first came in, what we were thinking, hey, like hardcore entry, he's a young gunner, we're looking for him to keep that going, and that's been a staple of like his brand, his career, everything, and in spite of that, he's struggling mightily. So when we actually get to the point where we're talking about TSM next week and we get to consolidate those stats, it's not going to look good for Jason Doty.
Real quick before we go, final thoughts, Jesse. At the end of the day for TSM, is it individual performance or team performance that needs more of a look at?
Honestly, I think it's a bit of individual performance. I want to see better stuff from Bolo and the Roams. I think Merc's still doing well. Achieve still has his moments, but we need to see more of that individual stuff.
All right, well, there you go. Spacestation Gaming picking up the overtime win over TSM. It was close. SSG takes a win anyway. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we've got a bit of an organizational relegation rematch. It's going to be Parabellum versus XZ. It's going to be a lot of fun, so don't go anywhere. NAL, back in a few.